everyone, Brad Rainman here with Ginger Hippo, and today's tutorial we're going to talk about writing content to rank organically on page 1 of Google, the truth of what it takes, how we construct an article, all of the ingredients, and what our methods are to actually achieve a page 1 ranking. I'm going to start off this tutorial by telling everybody that I get it, you guys get all of these emails from these companies that claim to do a lot of things as far as getting you a page 1 ranking. Some people who may be watching this tutorial have a feeling that if they write the content, people will want to read it. It's the chicken, which came first, the chicken or the egg? So the truth of the matter is that 75% of all of the content ever written on the internet is never read. So if you're in this belief that you can write content and at some point somebody's going to see it, you're going to share it on social media, and it's going to take off, it's going to go viral, good for you, keep doing that, you can turn this tutorial off. But if you're here, it's because you actually have a commitment to doing what it takes to actually build the content correctly, to gain recognition for the content you write, and to get as many people finding your content on page 1 as what is necessary in order to engage with the audience and have them coming to your article or your content to read your content. So I'm going to dive right in, and I'm using an example of an article we're writing at Ginger Hippo about PBNs, which is what we call private blogging networks. It's a black hat SEO technique. We don't recommend it. And it actually talks about getting content to rank as well. So I'm making this tutorial based on the fact that I'm creating a tutorial about relevant content and how it ranks, but I'm also using an example of what people may be trying to do in order to gain ranking organically on the front page of Google that isn't working or potentially could get you de-indexed by Google or a manual penalty. So congratulations. I'm going to try and make this as short as possible. There's a lot of content to go through, and let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is writing content and what's the proper structure, how do we go about doing that at Ginger Hippo, what are our methodologies, and we're going to go right through how we build the content, what's important, how we actually get the information that we need in order to write the content in a way that is going to be lucrative for people to want to actually create a backlink back to the article. All right. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off in Google Docs. We use Google Docs because there's a few advantages as far as Google Docs is concerned in comparison to Microsoft Word. We do not freeform content, and I'm going to explain why. So we've written this article about building a PBN or a private blogging network, and we're actually going through writing the article. So some important aspects of building an article properly is you have what we call H tags, and H tags are very important in the process because that signals to a search engine the form and function of your article. A lot of people, there's a misconception out there in the marketplace or in our industry that H tags determine the size of a title or a heading, which is not true. It's like the chapters of your book, and I'll actually show you how that works. And our H1 title tag is the title of our book, if you will, or our article, and then each H tag after that, H tags 2 through 6, are additional chapters of our book. Okay. So the very first thing we do is we identify what those H1, what the H tag titles are. Excuse me. And the very first thing we do when we write out the content, before we ever start writing content, is we determine what our H tags are and what our titles are going to be for the article. The way we do that is we use a tool called Ahrefs. And there's other tools on the market. We use Ahrefs because that's our favorite. It has a lot of different tools that the other competitors don't have, but we're going to mention those competitors as well. In all fairness, there's Moz, there is SEMrush, you can use Majestic, you can use a lot of different other tools, There's some free tools on the market. They have limited functionality, but we're going to dive in with Ahrefs because we think that's important to actually show you the example of how that works with the tools that we use. And we are not advocating to go buy Ahrefs. By all means, you buy and use whatever tools that you want to use. All right, so here's Ahrefs. This actually gives us a lot of information. So the very first thing we're going to do, since we are writing an article about PBNs, is we are going to use their Keyword Explorer, and we're going to use the keyword term of PBN, and we're going to look up the information, all of the search data, how difficult it is to rank for that keyword term, and we're going to start compiling a spreadsheet, and we're going to start trying to figure out what we're actually going to go after. How are we going to write the article? What is the best methodology based on what's out there, based on the SERP stats, search engine rankings, and we're going to create something similar but also very different. So similar type of structure of what Google already likes to see, and then we're going to, based on what is currently ranking, and then we're just going to do it better, okay? So, excuse me, the first thing we did is we looked up the keyword PBN, has a keyword difficulty of 41, and 5,200 people a month search for the term PBN. And this is a very broad term, right? So when we talk about long tail search, we talk about all of these different things. We're going to go after the main core term, which has a keyword difficulty of 41, and that means we're going to need roughly 58 backlinks in order to push our content, or backlinks to the article that we write in order to push our content to a page one search result. And it shows our traffic potential is 1,000 potential visitors a month to our website. But we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that and see what that looks like specifically. So when we look at having the same terms, there's a lot of other terms that are relevant, but we're going to go right into the SERP stats and we're going to see where is the traffic going. And it's very interesting to actually see what you can hope for from a traffic standpoint versus what you're actually going to receive. And it's a guessing game, okay? But it's an educated guess, and I'll explain why. So the very first result is Providence Business News. And the very first thing that we see is they're receiving roughly around 1,143 visitors a month to their website. And the reason being is because PBN, Providence Business News. The very next result is Honolulu Business News, Pacific Business News, which carries a higher authority on the internet than Providence Business News, but and that's actually going to cause them to rank for more keywords, and it's also going to push more traffic, because what you're seeing is out of all of the results that they rank for, they're going to make up their chunk, right? So just because somebody's looking for the term PBN doesn't necessarily that they're meaning PBN Private Blogging Network. They're looking for Pacific Business News or Providence Business News. And they're going to obviously naturally navigate to the what their search is actually mainly about. Then we look at number 3. So number 3 is actually something relevant to our content, and that draws in 985 visitors a month to their website from Goach. And then the next one down is also PBN, our related Lion Zeal, and it's 1,072. We're going to talk about, just for a moment, the difference between the two articles. So more people are actually looking for a way to actually build a PBN than are actually looking for what a PBN is. So when we look at an informational content structure, we're looking at what do we want to write in order to engage with our audience. It isn't a matter of what is necessarily going to rank, because we can write content based on anything, but perspective is very important. And we want to actually, these are two very different types of an audience within our what we're trying to write about. So we don't want people to build PBNs. It's a black hat SEO technique, and we're actually explaining why you shouldn't do that within our article, or that's what we did because we've already written the article. So as we're building the article, we're going to choose our perspective based on search rankings, and we chose to write an article similar to the Goach SEO um, article, based on the fact that we are wanting to appeal to the audience that is looking specifically for that type of content. We've also looked at the other pieces of content. So when we look at Empire Flippers, that's very similar to Lion Zeal. So we're not going to write an article of that nature. And we're going to also take Niche Sites Project or Niche Site Project, and that's very similar to Goach and Goach's article, and we're going to mold those together. We're going to expound on what they've said in their articles. We're going to give a few more examples, a few more links, etc. So I've beat that horse enough. But what we're going to do next is, when we look at an article, we don't want to keyword stuff an article, but we do want to write an article relevant to what people are looking for. So we've looked at PBN as the parent topic, parent source or parent idea, parent, the pitch idea for what this article is going to be about. And now we're actually going to look more specifically at keyword ideas that have similar terms, okay? So we're going to click over here on having the same terms, and it's going to give us a list. And it's going to give us a list of 4,831 potential keywords that people look for on the internet on a monthly basis, and the difficulty and a lot of other ranking factors, metrics, data, that it's going to give us the big picture, okay? I don't know why this is locking up, but we've already done this. So we're going to switch over to here. It gave us a keyword list. If we go back to this, it gave us a keyword list. All right, so here's the keyword list, and it gives us all of the data. It gives us parent topics. Let's look at this. It gives us keywords. It gives us the keyword difficulty, which is how many backlinks it's going to take to our article to actually rank for that specific keyword on the front page of Google. And then it also is giving us the volume, the traffic volume of how many people on average, this is just an average number, actually look for that specific term every month, okay? And then how many people click on that, or click through, or clicks per search. So we're actually looking for a higher click per search ratio and a return rate. So your RR here is your return rate. How many people come back to look for the same thing or reference the same thing over and over and over again? And then it gives us our parent topic, all right? So we've exported that over to our Excel document, not Excel, but Google Sheets. We use Google for all of our stuff. You can use any of them. And what we've done with this list is we've taken and we've narrowed this down. So we've extracted all of the terms that are not relevant to what our specific topic is. So we've extracted or deleted any search terms that have to do with Providence Business News or Pacific Business News or whatever it is. And we have a raw list. So we have DIY PBN, how many people look for this. But the key here is ranking difficulty. So just because we're writing an article for PBNs doesn't mean we're going to necessarily rank immediately for the keyword term PBN. It's easier to go after lower hanging fruit, establish, when we talk about long tail search, establish content or write content in a way that people are finding the lower hanging fruit. So this, as an example, PBN Devos, don't know what that is. I'm going to delete it. We didn't write anything about that, but buy PBN links. So I only need 5 backlinks to my news source or to my article, our article, in order to gain our share of 80 searchers a month for that specific term. We have web PBN. So we didn't talk about web PBN, but we talked about WBNs in our article. We'll go through the article that we wrote. And then this one here, I left this here because I wasn't exactly sure what it was. And I had to do a little bit of research as far as what a PBN spin trap was. I thought it may be something where people are using content spinning, and through using content spinning, they're creating a spin trap of some sort. So I actually did some independent research to determine, is that a relevant keyword term? I found out it wasn't, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So out of a total of 4,000, almost 5,000 keywords that Ahrefs spit back out at us, roughly 27 of them actually made sense for what we're trying to write for. And um, if we do just a quick calculation of formula, let's see, there's our formula, sum, oops, let me go back, screwed that up. Rough math, we're looking at roughly about 6,000 searches a month. 6,000 people a month are going to search for the content. And what we're going to do is we're going to go after, from our specific content standpoint, our target goal when we write an article is to get 2,500 eyeballs a month on our website for a piece of content that we write. So when we talk about writing content, we don't ever write blind content. We have a lot of research that goes into this, and we're going to create the proper structure, etc. So then we're going to look at another term, and I'll talk about how we actually got that, because when we go back into the keyword term PBN and we get our SERP results, we actually can look and see what are the keywords that these other articles are ranking for. So Goach actually has 231 ranking keywords. Lion's Eel has 157, and we didn't do anything with Empire Flippers, which is down here. The reason why we didn't do anything with Empire Flippers is their content seems very sketchy, and we just don't want to appeal to anything based on the article that they wrote. And then Niche Site Project ranks for 127 keywords. Again, we went back up here to within this. Now, if we click on the keywords that they rank for, it gives us all of the keywords that they rank for specifically for that article. And then we exported that as well. So when we export something, we run a full report, we start the export, and it gives us the information in a CSV file, and then we compile everything into a main spreadsheet. We've already done that, and we've combined 3 of the 4 front page rankings for all of the keywords. and now we're actually going to talk about what that actually means. Where does ranking, how does it make sense? How many people actually come to the website based on each individual keyword and on a monthly basis? And how much traffic can you expect if you're number 1 versus number 3, or number 5 versus number 8 on the front page of Google? So we're actually going to go through that and show you. When we look at, and I highlighted this already, when we look at the raw data, we're actually looking at what is current and then what are other opportunities. So you'll see in my notes where it says diamond right here. And the reason being is because they're ranking for a keyword that has 0 difficulty and has a lot of people looking for it. So it could give us ideas to write content in the future based on those specific keyword searches. But let's go back to ranking for just a moment. So if we look at PBN, all 3 of them actually rank for the keyword term PBN, 5,200 searches a month. And as you can see, the difference between the positions, number 4, 5, and 10, actually determines how much traffic actually comes to their website, to their article. Now, we are going to go after the main article, which is the Goach SEO article, or the Goach article. And we're going to write content similar to that. We're actually going to achieve a higher ranking based on the methodology that I'm going to explain, or that I'm in the process of explaining. And I'm going to explain how that makes sense, and it should make sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, I apologize. Sometimes I get down into the weeds and I talk about a lot of different things that somehow people get lost and confused. If that happens, send me an email. I'd love to explain it to you. It's not something that I love to encourage other people to do better. The reason why I want everybody to do better at writing content is because in the end, it actually keeps bad content from being seen by other people. There's a lot of cheaters on the market. So if we can improve everybody's content writing to the point where they're doing the work and they're doing the right work, you're going to narrow what we call the spammers out of the market, and you're going to see more relevant content on Google, which is what we're after. So as you can see, the higher you rank, the more traffic you get. Why? Because if you're number one, all of the people coming there are going to click on the number one article organically. They're going to click on paid placement as well. But in the end, they're going to reach the organic content as well. And there's a lot of people, a good percentage of people that actually go after the organic ranking content first. And the reason being is because they have it in the back of their mind that anybody can pay to be number one. And just because they're paying to be number one doesn't make it the best option for them to choose, so they're going to go after the organic content. All right, so our first diamond in the rough, and I'm just going to explain everything as I go through these pages. If you have questions, they should be answered as I go through this tutorial. So as you can see, 1,100 people with zero difficulty look for Tumblr post privately. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I didn't really go through the content. All I did was I marked it in orange, and that gives me a signal to go back and look for all of the oranges in our articles later and determine, if I don't have an idea for content, well, maybe there's something there that'll spawn an idea for content to be written. So we never run out of content. So there's a diamond. As you can see, there's certain diamonds in here, what I call diamonds. Easy Blog Networks, that's a company. Easy Blog Networks, again, that's a company. So there's two of the different articles that are actually ranking for the same keyword. And Nathan the Wise Summary, not exactly sure what that is, but 200 people a month search for it. And then as you can see, it goes down and down and down. How many people actually come to the article, and this is actually really good. This is actually really good information. So at a keyword ranking position of 100, 150 searches, you're getting zero traffic. Okay, at 79, you're getting zero traffic. At 43, you're getting zero traffic. At 26, you're getting a visitor to your website once every 10 months. Okay, that's real. That is page 3. Okay, page 3 content, 150 people a month look for it, and they're only going to make your site, if you rank 26 for it, once every 10 months. Okay, so what does that threshold look like? Here's a 0.2 with 35, 0.43 once every other month. Somebody's going to come to this website. That's page 3 content, 1 through 10, 11 through 20, etc. And I don't think we have anything that's more relevant for page 2, which would be in the teens. But ideally, well, let's look at let's look here. All right. So if you rank, as an example, PBN domains, 150 people a month search for it. You rank 11th, which is page 2. That is the first result on page 2. You can only expect 2 visitors a month. 2 visitors a month because you landed on page 2 versus page 1. That's huge. What is the significance of actually ranking page 1 for content? It is huge. If I look at 150 versus 150 number 9, okay, just these 2 numbers here, you're more than doubling your traffic with 2 keywords, but even at number 9, you're only getting 5 visitors a month. So let's go through this. Here's a 150 based on number 1 position. You're getting a third of the traffic. So 50 to 150. So 150 people are searching for it. They're getting 50 visitors a month to their website, 56 on this keyword, which is a different keyword, but it's all relevant. Now, here's the big difference. If you actually look at the keyword PBN link here and PBN link here, position 1 and position 3 for the same keyword, where the one company is getting 56 visitors a month to their website, ranking number 1 for that keyword, the number 3 position is only getting 16, so it's less than a third. So when we're writing content, we don't write blind content. We write structured content. We go after content that makes sense, and we structure our content in a way that is going to make sense for um, uh, writing the content to rank. Okay, newsflash. If you write content and you think it's going to rank by itself, and you're just going to write it, and you're going to write it however you want. We hear the term storyteller. Great. Storytellers are the people that sit around a campfire and tell stories. Okay? We don't write stories, we do SEO copywriting. We write content to rank. We write content, and you should too. You should want your content to rank. Otherwise, don't waste your time. Write it properly. Write it in a way that's very thoughtful and meaningful, that solves a problem, and people will read your content. Build your backlinks to the content. There is a process. We're going to go back. The very next thing that we're going to look at in Ahrefs is the ability to see what they're actually where they're getting their links from. So we're going to use this, and keep in mind, we switched all the way over to the other side of the spectrum from an SEO perspective, and we did this for a reason. And we're going to come back to SEO. We're going to do SEO. We're going to talk about writing content, and then we're going to go back to SEO. And the reason being is because SEO is necessary at the front end of writing your content, or on the back end, it doesn't matter, and neither does the content. All right. So we looked at oh, wrong one. All right. So we looked at Keyword Explorer, PBN, and we're going to go back to our SERP results as far as what's what. Sorry for the confusion. And the very next thing we're going to look at, since we're writing content to go after the content that already exists, the very next thing we are looking at is how many backlinks do they have, and what are the sources of the backlinks that are coming to that article that are causing them to rank on page 1. So Goach has 72. And we're actually going to see where are those coming from. So we click on that, we figure out where is everything coming from. And within the article, if you want to read the article, it's actually interesting because as we were researching this article that we were going to write, it caused us to want to write the content writing about PBNs, because what you can see, anything that shows .blogspot or .wordpress, .com, what that is it's called the WBN, which is a web-based web blogging network. And they actually own all of these. But nonetheless, we exported the content. And before we show you how that content we exported the content. Before we show you what that content looks like, we're also going to explain the significance of the types of links. So when we look at content, the very first thing we do is we look for all of do follow. Do follow backlinks passes the authority from the referring website over to the content that you've written as they give you a link. A no follow says, hey, they're there, we reference the link, but we're not going to give them any authority. From a reputation standpoint, it has zero value. So when we look at a piece of content that has a zillion links and it's not ranking well, it's because a lot of their links are within their link profile back to the article that they wrote. A lot of the links that are coming back are no follow links. And if you have a bunch of, Google doesn't care about no follow links. No follow links have absolutely zero value. Okay, that isn't necessarily true. A do follow link with a global ranking of 30 million may get you one place, one single place on global ranking ahead of your next competitor, which may be Johnny's Pizza Shop. But in the grand scheme of things, a no follow link has zero value. So let's go back to our spreadsheet, because again, we did this for all of them. We exported our content for all three of all of our link sources. And we compiled that into one single spreadsheet. So what are we going to do? I've actually highlighted everything. Everybody teases me that my spreadsheets look like a Girl Scout cookie order form, but we're actually going to, since we now know that all of these outside sources have given a link to their content, we're going to do what we call outreach after the article is written, and we're going to reach out to each one of these sources and say, hey, I just wrote an article based on an article that you gave a link to so-and-so, and we'd sure appreciate the opportunity to earn a link from you. right? It's real simple. Here's the URL for our article. Feel free to read it. If you wouldn't mind giving us a reference from your article that you already gave to the other guys for a similar article, if you wouldn't mind giving us the same privilege, that would be wonderful. And there's a couple of keys and some tricks to it, and I'm going to explain that here when we talk about writing our content. And it makes the outreach portion a little bit easier. Now, I also need to make very clear that outreach, when we look at SEO, outreach is the single largest and most important aspect of getting your content to rank. If you do not reach out to these other authoritative websites and ask for their blessing to give you a piece of their authority back to your article, showing that it's an authoritative piece, your content will never rank. That is why 75% of all of the articles that are written are never read. It's because nobody said, from another website standpoint, that your article was worth reading. Okay, I'm going to say that again. And I'm going to try and say that just a little bit differently because it is so important. If you write the best piece of content and you never get an authoritative backlink from anybody stating that it's worth reading, I don't care about social media. I don't care about any other aspect of what you guys might think is important, because I promise it isn't. Nobody will read your content. On social media, they might read it a couple of times, but guess what? It's forgotten. It's never going to rank. As you build those do follow backlinks to your article, your content will rank as more people see it. Some people will link to your articles, and we'll talk about that in the content writing portion. Some people will reference your article automatically, which is wonderful. But the only way they're going to find your article to reference it is if it already ranks. So the chicken or the egg. And I know I'm beating this horse like there's no tomorrow. You have to get your backlinks. When you write a piece of content, get a specific amount of backlinks that even if it's only getting you to page 2, you have a better opportunity of people that you don't even know about who are writing articles similar to yours or want to reference content to boost the authority of their content. You're going to have a better chance because you're page 2. If you don't get any backlinks and you don't rank at all, guess what? You're not going to get any. That is the sad fact. You're going to get 0. Your article will go nowhere because you haven't done outreach. So please write this down. Write it down really big. You have to do outreach once your article is published. You have to. Or all of this means nothing. So as going back to the backlinks that are already there, we can see that we have roughly 178 backlinks total. I've highlighted these in different colors, and I'm going to explain why. The very first color that I'm going to explain is our greens, because if we have multiple links, because keep in mind this is these links, I took all 3 of these and jumbled all these together, and I said, wow, what is the opportunity that I'm going to get a backlink from these people, from these companies when I reach out to them? So as you can see, Ahrefs is in there, right? They've created a link from an article in 2 different places. I'm going to reach out to Ahrefs. We're a customer of theirs. We buy their stuff. I'm going to say, hey, I just wrote this great article, and if you could just do me a favor and reference us and blah, 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 that'd be great, okay? And if you ever need anything from me, I'm here, okay? It's networking. It's SEO networking. So I'm going to go after all the greens because, after all, if they're already linking to 2 of the 3 other articles, here's another one, Search Engine Watch. Great company. Global authority is outstanding. They're referring domains. How many people go to their website a month? So how great would it be to get a reference from Libsyn that gets almost 500,000 visitors a month back to my article? That'd be outstanding. And because they're green, there's a good chance that that could happen. We have Neil Patel, good dude, Um, we're going to reach out to him. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. What can we expect? Well, we can't have an expectation. We're going to reach out to as many of these people as possible to build as many links as possible because we need more than 72. Because when we go back to how many Goch has um, going to their article, yeah, 72. So Goch has 72 backlinks. We're going to probably go after double. The methodology and the strategy for this is we're going to take his 72, we're going to take the 56, we're going to take all of the ones that we already have, we're going to go after all of them, and then we're going to add the links from the sources that we've built up, the friends of ours that we've scratched their backs over time and they've scratched our backs, and we're going to reach out to them and we're going to say, hey, I got another great article. If you have any content that matches something that would reference this, it'd be great to get a link from you. So we're going to take all of these numbers, the 72, the 56, the total being 100 and I'm going to get rid of the reds. So 169. So I have 169 link opportunities here. And I'm going to reach out to the 169. And then I'm also going to add hours to it. And we're going to roughly have about 150 to 200 links in the end coming back to our article, which makes us, when we go back here, who has 150. So we should position ourselves safely at the number 4 position and get no less than 1,000 links. That's just for the one keyword term, right? We're going to expound on that, but that's a whole different tutorial. But we should be able to see no less than 1,000 visitors a month to that specific article when it's written. Okay? So going back to this, going to the yellow. Yellow is pretty interesting. What is the yellow? The yellow is no follow. So we talked about the value of no follow. Now, everybody wants links, and everybody has this assumption that links have a value that they don't. So the example that I give, I can't remember the name. I see everybody posting on this. Forbes. Oh, yeah, Forbes. All right. I just wrote an article for Forbes. Well, congratulations. You donated all of your time. They never give a do follow backlink to anybody. And the article that you wrote was a complete waste of time and absolutely worthless. All it did was help Forbes build content. That's it. They don't allow you to link to your content. They don't give you a do follow link as a source for your content. The effort that you put into it was worth zero. Okay? So when we look at this, we're going to get rid of Google. Great. Google will never give you a do follow backlink. Wikipedia will never give you a do follow backlink. If you publish a reference to Wikipedia, you will only get a no follow backlink, completely worthless. But I highlighted this because here's an opportunity, right? So when we talk about diamonds, one of the articles actually has a reference from Google Storage, from Google APIs, which is huge. Awesome global rank, high domain rating, 312,000 visitors a month, and they got a link from this. So I'm going to go after that link. And I'm going to try and figure out how they got it. I'm going to do the research on the back end, and then I'm getting that link. Okay, that's the motivation, that's the sales, because I want what other people have. I want everything that everybody has from a business perspective, from a viewer perspective. I want them to see my content instead of my competitors. Now, if you're walking into this thinking it's a big bake sale and everybody has to bring brownies, well, I'm sorry. There's a winner and a loser. The winners get the eyeballs, the losers do not. So then we have oranges, all right? Now, this is actually pretty interesting because I'm going to reach out to these. If you notice the oranges, Niche Site Project is giving a link to one of the other articles. So we're going to reach out to them too, and we're going to say, hey, you gave a reference link in Niche Site Project to their article. We'd love the same. And in our article, we're giving them a link already, and we're actually going to state that in the outreach, and I'm going to talk about that. And then there's reds. Okay, so when we talk about building what we call PBNs, so that's the basis of the article, anything with a .blogspot, is a web-based web blogging network where they're creating all of these fake blogs, and then when they publish an article, they're actually writing an article on the fake blog, and they're pointing or they're giving a link back to the real blog. It's a lot of work. Again, if you want to read that article, it'll be published at the end of this tutorial. It'll be live by the time you see this video, and that's great. We love people writing our content. But as you can see, the ones in red actually, excuse me, not only do they not get any viewers, they don't get any organic traffic, but on top of that, they aren't ranked. So we never want to reach out to these sources based on the fact that they could not be ranked based on the fact that they are already indexed by Google as being seen as a private blogging network. Okay? We don't want a link from them because if we get a link from them, we're just making ourselves look bad. All right? So we're going to go after just about anything that doesn't say Blogspot, that identifies itself as a PBN or WBN, and we're going to go after the links that are already established. Again, we have our own linking sources, so when we put all of that together, we're number one. Okay? Now, let's talk about our individual networks. When we publish a piece of content, we build relationships through outreach. When we reach out to somebody, it's a trade, right? Hey, I got this article. I think it'd be great for you. If you could just reference it, that would be great. And they do. They are your hero. They are your friend. You love them and love them and love them forever. The reason being is because they're going to potentially reach back out to you at some point. Or you could reference their article, and people will talk about reciprocal links. I don't want a link coming from and to and all this other stuff. That's garbage. Unless you're doing it all the time with the same sources, you're not going to suffer a penalty from Google. I promise. If you do, you let me know, and I will eat my shoe. If you are asking for a link, a reciprocal link, back and forth, occasionally for what makes sense, you're referencing their articles, and I'm going to show you this. If you're referencing their articles and they're referencing back to your article, that doesn't mean that you're colluding to do that all the time. And if you're not going to receive a penalty from that. People will talk about how that's gray hat or black hat or any of this other stuff. That is garbage. What they're telling you is they don't want you to do exactly what they're doing. How fair is that? How fair is it for me to tell you that I don't think you should do something that I do, and that our content is page one ranking for various terms, a lot of different terms. Our content is page one ranking, and I'm going to tell you that you can still do it. Absolutely, kid. You can be LeBron James. Just don't do everything that I'm doing because I already am. We're not that type of company. Let's move on. Let's talk about our article. So we talked about our keywords. We got an idea. We had 28 different keywords. This gives us an idea of what we're going to talk about within our articles. We looked at our relevant keywords, and I'm not going to go through each one, but you can see that there are certain keywords where they have a lot of the same keywords, so they're grouped. And then we're going to choose 6 total keywords. And we're going to write our titles out for those, or our chapter headings, if you will. So within our article, we chose 6. We wrote our article. Here's our H1 tag. Now our H1 title tag, if we go back to this article, is actually based on something similar to what Goach wrote. It's a little bit different. Again, we're going to take a similar piece of content. We're going to create a little bit of a different perspective, and we've researched each one of these articles. I've read through each one of these articles to determine what my perspective is going to be based on that industry. So I wrote within our H1 tag, his is our private blog networks PBNs worth billion in 2018. we're at the tail end of 2018, so we're writing something similar. PBN, private blogging networks, are they worth building? Not are they worth it? Are they worth building in 2018 and 2019? Now, there's some keys to what we're saying here, because as Google goes through with BrankBrain and they crawl your content, they're going to crawl you for PBN, private blogging network, building private blogging networks, building PBNs. We're not getting a question out of this. We are getting a question, but we aren't. And that's our H1 tag. So we came down here, we wrote our H2 tag. What is a PBN or WBN site? We got that from our keywords, right? So when we look at what is a PBN, okay, 400 people a month look for that. And we've just gone through this over and over and over again, and we're mentioning those within our titles. So we have our H2. We have our H3. We have our H3, using PBN links or WBN to build authority. We have our H4, buying PBN links, why you shouldn't buy links at all. We are advocating for white hat SEO. That is our perspective. H5, building quality SEO backlinks in 2018, 2019. How do you do it, right? It talks about outreach. It talks about a lot of things. Our H6 tag, you only get H1 through H6 tags. Our H6 tag is SEO worth it? And if we come back to it, if we come back here, we will actually see SEO backlinks, and somewhere in here it says something about, is SEO worth it? PBN SEO, we're going to rank for all of this automatically. SEO backlinks, where was it? There is actually, people are looking for the keyword, is SEO worth it? 200 people a month, okay? 200 people a month look for this term. It's referenced within one of the articles just in a very passive manner, and they don't focus on it, and it has a keyword difficulty of 1. So when we talk about our overall ranking and how we're going to build up all of the keywords in order to get the 2,500 eyeballs a month on our website to that specific article, we have an opportunity right here. Our H6 tag, our chapter 6 of our book or our article is SEO worth it? Which 200 people a month look for. They rank 92, they get 0 traffic from it. We're actually going to include that and focus on that, which is going to give us those eyeballs of people who are specifically looking for that piece of content. All right. So once we're done with all of our H1 through H6 tags, and you're going to see all these right here, the links, which we'll show you on the article side, we've written our article. It's not ready to publish, I promise. The very next thing we're going to do is we come over here to Hemingway app. We wrote our article, and this is free, right? So HemingwayApp.com. Again, we're not trying to sell you anything. We've copied all of our content from here, and we've copied it into Hemingway app, Hemingway editor. And it gives us our readability scores. It gives us all, what is difficult to understand. And we have 1,546 words within our article originally. When we copy and paste it from our Google Doc to Hemingway editor, we have 1,546 words, and we have 98 sentences. So the very next thing we do is we're going in and we're editing what our content is. And we've done that in a separate tab, okay? And what we did was we removed everything that's there. And there's still a few errors in it, but our initial, we needed an 8th grade education. Our goal is for 6, 5, or 4, okay? The lower the number, the better. We're going to edit our content in a way that makes it very easy to read. And then we ended up with grade 5. But if you notice, there's 1,401 words, but 119 sentences. So we've increased our amount of sentences, but we've reduced our number of words from 1,542 to 1,401. So we've subtracted out a whole bunch of words, a whole bunch of big words. Some of them can't be changed. Being indexed talks about using a passive voice. That is an action by Google, so we left it there. And once we've actually gone through this, this is the bulk. When we write content, now can you write content in Hemingway Editor? Absolutely. But I'm going to show you why you shouldn't write content in Hemingway Editor and why you should write it in Google Docs. And I'm actually going to show you that right now because Hemingway Editor is great, but it doesn't have the same functionality as what we're looking for. So you notice all these links. These are links, outgoing links to other websites. And the advantage, Google Docs is free as part of Google Chrome. The advantage is we can, let's assume we wanted to create a link for relevant article. As soon as we click the insert a link, it's going to give us the most relevant links specific to that keyword phrase. It does all the homework for you. As long as it matches the perspective and the idea and the messaging of what you're trying to convey, once I create a link here, and I'm not going to do that because we've already done all of this, I'm going to create links. Now here is the magic, because I talked about, we went through where are all of these links coming from when we go to the backlinks, and we see the Neil Patel is in there. That's great. Now, Neil Patel is a global rank of 947. Huge, over 500,000 visitors a month. He's a beast. He is an absolute beast within his market verticals. We're going to reach out to Neil, and what we're going to say when we do our outreach to Neil is when we look within our article, and I go to the guest blogging. So it talks about guest blogging. This link actually goes to a Neil Patel article. And it's not the article that he's going to give us a link back from. So when we reach out to Neil, we're going to say, hey, Neil, how's it going, buddy? We just wrote an article about PBNs. We noticed that you linked over to Goach for their PBN article. You also have an article about PBNs. We'd love some link love from you. That's an industry term. It's called link love. It's when somebody gives you a do follow link back to your article. And by the way, I've already done the legwork on my side. Okay, I'm not asking for something I'm not willing to give. I've already given you a reference from our article to an article of yours. Hook me up, right? Help me out. Help me make my content rank. Some people will say no. They're in it for themselves. If they say no or they don't answer you, great. Put them into a spreadsheet. Don't reach out to them again. And when they reach out to you, because they will, the high-ranking people, once your content starts ranking, they will reach out to you and ask you for links. And you can say, hey, remember when? Now, I'm not saying it's an ultimate no, but I asked you for this 6 months ago or 8 months ago or 10 months ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever. You didn't even answer me. But now you're wanting this back from me? Not a problem. I'm going to be the bigger person. If you do what my original request was 2 years ago and link to the article that I wrote, I will be more than happy to accommodate your request now. How cool is that? Just keep a list. It is that easy. Now, I'm saying that for a reason, and the reason why I'm telling you this is when somebody reaches out to you and asks you to create a link back to their articles, which will happen, arrogance and karma do not play well together. If you walk this high ground as if you are better than everybody else in this world, it will kick your ass. I promise you. If you give them the love now, they will give you love back when you need it. That is the beauty of SEO. There are a lot of people out there that won't give anything. And if they're not willing to give anything, hey, so be it. Good luck to you. But I promise you that the people who are most successful at writing content and getting it to rank are the people who love everybody else. They are the people who are very giving. They aren't selling links. They're doing it right. So we've written our article. We've gotten our links. We've gone over here. We have Hemingway app editor. We've gotten it down to a grade 5. We have a couple of adverbs. They don't like adverbs. Passive voice, sorry. And one of my 119 sentences is hard to read. And now it's time to import my content that is done into article form. So we've already done that. We have the article written. I'm going to talk about structure. We've created just something very basic. The reason being is there's a couple of reasons for this basic featured image. It's because we're finding that our click-through rate is better when we get right to the point. So we can create a lot of pretty images, and we have in this article, and I'm going to talk about that. But once we've written this content, we've structured everything. The very first thing we did is we created a featured image. And when we go to the back end, we do use WordPress. We're a WordPress developer, but I'm going to show you how all of that works. So we've created a featured image, and then you can see PBN Private Blogging Networks, our title here, that is an H1 tag. It is given the H1 tag, and I'm going to talk about the tag versus the size of the text. I'm going to show you that. And then the very next thing that Google loves to see is a table of contents. And the table of contents are all of your H tags. They're all of your chapters. And we've created a smooth scrolling. So if you click on chapter 1 versus chapter 3, notice I even call them chapters. It actually smooth scrolls through the article, and it takes you to exactly what you want to read about. Okay? So we've copy and pasted all of our content. All of our links are there. All of our links are do follow links going out to the other sources as references to our article. Everything is there. And then we've created imagery. I'm going to talk about image SEO for just a moment. All right, image SEO is 30% of all of Google searches are based on imagery. If you're not including imagery in your website, you're hurting yourself. Now, if you're using somebody else's imagery, that's great, but you need to give them source credit. You just have to, because it's their work. You don't want to steal anything from anybody. Or you create your own. So we created a kind of a neat little graphic based on a PBN explanation. It's pretty simple, how the traffic flows from PBNs back to the main site. But then we used actually free imagery. And we used free imagery based on the fact that it isn't laziness. It's just it dresses everything up. So this is content that it's stock photo content. It's visual. It allows people to see things. It creates a feeling. So when we talk about creating images for an article, whatever that is, what I tell people is that you want to create a feeling within your imagery. Okay? So let's look at it, right? We've defined what a PBN is, and that's great. People are going to use that and give us source credit for a backlink back to our image for source credit as time goes on. That's all free. And then on top of that, the next article, right? So using PBN links or WBN to build authority, all right? So I thought about it and I said, well, happy, authority. How are we building authority? How are we, building bricks, right? So we're going to create a feeling. We're going to create happiness. We're going to talk about how people should receive your content. You're helping to define the perspective of how you wrote that, because sarcasm, people may see it as being sarcastic, but we need to help create the feeling. And by helping to create the feeling, our content is going to be received better. So the next thing, why you shouldn't buy links, right? Stop buying links. If you're buying links, a link could cost on average about $315 just to get one link. And if it's through a PBN, that could be pretty bad, especially if they get de-indexed, because now a de-indexed site is referencing your content. It's terrible. Don't do it. So we gave an image about somebody paying for something, right? Building quality SEO, right? This is a feel-good picture. You know, a young lady who is working on her laptop. It really doesn't state anything overly obvious, but it's good. And then is SEO worth it, right? Remember our keyword, is SEO worth it? 200 people a month look for that keyword, and we wanted to show success. Absolutely, it's worth it. Absolutely, SEO is worth it. Okay, and I'm not doing this tutorial to push SEO. What I'm The reason why I mention SEO so much is because it is so crucial. I can take the best piece of content and apply zero SEO to it, and it goes nowhere and nobody reads it. I can take the worst piece of content on the internet, and I'll actually show you, okay? Just because this is so funny, all right? I'll show you a bad website that gets tons of traffic because the SEO is in place. So let's do that. It's called Ling's Cars, I think. Ling's Cars is a company out of the UK. All right. So if I go to lingscars.com, here's Ling's Cars. All right. If we click on this, Ling's Cars is atrocious. It is an atrocious website. Look at this. This is Ling's Cars. This is god awful. Who the hell would ever want to even see this? Now let's look at the facts. Ling's Cars gets 14,500 visitors and ranks for 17,000 keywords in the top 100. We took a bad website. Not us, but somebody did. They took a terrible website and they put eyeballs on it. And people keep coming back. Let's look at that again. There's Ling. I don't even know what I would want to buy from this guy. But man, he's doing it. He is doing it. 14,500 people a month are seeing this. There's Ling's Cars, 130,000. 14,500. Let's go back to our article for just a moment. We want to talk about some key things. At the bottom of our article, you'll notice that we actually referenced all 5 of the other front page. Actually, one. This is actually Neil Patel's article, which is page 2 content. So we're giving him a boost by giving him a do follow link specifically to his article. We're actually mentioning our competitors. That seems crazy, right? We are mentioning our competitors because when we do our outreach to those websites, we're going to say, hey, I referenced your article. I thought it was great. It inspired me to write the article that I wrote about a similar topic. And we'd love some link love back from it, right? Give us some link love. Give us a do follow backlink. Their response generally is going to be, dude, that's awesome, man. Here you go. Chalk it up, man. I'm in. And now you've built up a relationship because they have other content too. And we're creating that relationship back and forth that as we publish our content and we need to build the backlinks, we're adding them to our success list. And we're going to reach out to them again. Now, one site, this is important, you only get credit once. By Google standards, you only get credit once. So the very first link that you get from anybody to a piece of your content or to the home page of your content, you could get 5,000 backlinks from them. And you will only get credit for the first one. Make it count. There's indicators, right? So if you have multiple links going to, different articles from the same place, they're saying, hey, we still think that they're a great place to read their content from. But you only get credit in Google for the first one. Make it count. Let's go back to our H tags. I can't talk about H tags enough. I'll go into our visual builder. H tags are not the size of the text. They are the chapters of your articles. John Mueller from Google said that H tags are still a ranking factor in 2018. A lot of people in our industry say that they're not important. That is garbage. That is horseshit. They are still important. All of it is important. So here's the backend editor. We use the Divi theme, so every editor is a little bit different. We are a Divi developer. We love Divi. They're rock stars. But as we go into this, H2 heading, right? So we've identified this as an H2 heading within our design, heading text, H2, and we have changed the size of our text to 24 pixels. If I go down to my H3, we're going to find the same thing. Okay, here's our H3. Notice how we're eating our own cooking. We're telling you exactly how we do it. There are no secrets here. We go into our H3. Here's our H3, 24 pixels. It's real simple. The H tag it defines it defines the chapters. It defines the content. It is important. H1s, meta tags, they're all important. We're going to show you that next. Okay? I know it sounds like I'm really excited about all of this stuff, and I am. I'm excited for reasons that you don't understand, because if you're watching this tutorial, you're going to write better content, it's going to rank better, and the internet is going to provide better search results, assuming you're writing good content. And if you're writing good content and you feel you're writing good content, that's what led you to this tutorial. All right? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to edit the post, right? If you use WordPress, this is all familiar to you. If you're using Wix or Weebly or anything else, I mean, I won't get into my personal preferences, but 52,000 new websites a day go online using WordPress. And if you're going to buck the system, think about it from a money perspective. WordPress is as big as it is because they're taking a percentage of their profits and constantly improving their platform. They have the most support. They're the largest. There's a reason why you use them. Wix, Weebly, okay. Their market share, it might move a little bit. If you want to be different, be different. Or just do everything the same and better. So let's talk about our structure. So we have Yoast as an example. Again, we're not pushing Yoast. We use the free version of Yoast. We don't see any point in using the premium version because we don't need to, because we know how to structure our content, and we're using Ahrefs, which we pay a lot of money for. We're using Ahrefs, and we're writing the content through Ahrefs instead of Yoast. But we are using Yoast for a few things. So let's talk about that for just a moment. As you can see, we're green here, right? Our focus keyword, PBN, is green. SEO overall is green. Everything is green. Let's talk about what it takes to make it green. So we're going to edit our snippet. We're going to create an SEO title that makes sense. It's green. That's how we came up with our title. We type out what our title is. We make it green. It's either going to be red on one side or red on the other. Our meta description, same thing. We typed out a meta description that mentioned what our article is about. That's what you're going to see in the search results. It mentioned the word PBN in both the SEO title and our slug. Our slug is, there's a lot of things about slugs. It tells, it is the core, right? A slug is the core of your article. What is the base topic? Notice we also use PBN. That's our big focus topic. We use PBN as within our URL. So when we look at this from a ranking profile, we're going after the keyword, focus keyword of PBN. We've included that in our URL. We've included that at the very beginning of our title, which is going to give great ranking significance or indicators to Google saying this is what it's about. We've included it in the meta description, the SEO title, and then we've created this featured image, which if we looked at our media library, which we're not going to share with you, unfortunately, I'm sorry, the image description, the title, everything within our media library uses the keyword, the focus keyword PBN. Within our tags, PBN, WBN, private blogging network, web blogging network, and we're referencing this as an SEO article in a category. And we've built out the descriptions of our categories. Now, what you can see sometimes, and we see this a lot from people who are inexperienced within the content writing side, is within their tags, they think they have to mention everything. And then they get lazy. So what they start doing is they come up with this mantra of all of these tags that they constantly use over and over and over again for every article. And congratulations, you just screwed yourself with Google. Because if you're telling Google that every one of your articles is about the exact same thing, you're asking to get screwed, right? It's called cornerstone content. And we're going to talk about that, and we wrote a great article about it months ago. Defining cornerstone content. If you don't define your cornerstone content, Google will. Google will define your cornerstone content for you. What does that mean? Okay? What cornerstone content is that Google looks at all of the content that's similar, and it only gives one authority. So if you wrote an article, when we write this article about PBNs, we're never going to write another article about PBNs. We just aren't. If we were writing an article using that same terminology, or that same methodology rather, and we're using the same tags and we're using all the same stuff over and over and over and over again, what we're going to do is we're going to write an article about house plants. Then we're going to write an article about where to buy the best house plant. Then we're going to write another article about what defines the best house plant. Then we're going to write another article about what is the best species of a house plant. And Google's going to look at all of that and say, holy Jesus, you guys really love houseplants, but you don't get to rank for all of that. I'm sorry. So what we're going to do, since you haven't defined your cornerstone content, is we're going to define it for you. And we're not even going to tell you which one it is, but we are now deciding that what the best species of houseplant is the most definitive article. It solves searchers' problems or gives them a solution the best. So we're going to say that is the most important piece of content based on that topic for you, even though all of your tags you're trying to rank for over and over and over again are all the same. So what? You just wasted your time. Sorry. I'm not sorry. That's bad content. That's just bad. When people write content, if you are, and I'll give you a prime example right now, I'm writing a lot of content about horses, okay? Why? Because a separate company of mine actually is creating a horse shampoo. It's great. And I'm looking at all of the different types of content because, after all, there's only so many parts to a horse. There's only so many different types of things you can write about a horse. Nutrition, which doesn't have anything to do with shampoo. How to groom a horse. That's one article. How to do this, how to do that, all of the supporting content. I need to define my content structure or my content strategy in a way that's going to constantly give relevant information to Google or the search engines, but also doesn't put me in a position where they're considering my content duplicated, or they're choosing one of multiple articles as the most important. So don't shoot yourself in the foot. We see it with multi-million dollar companies all the time. Perfect example, I'm not going to pick on them. $70 million a year company, medical. They make a medical application for patients. If you looked at their blog right now, they have written the same content for the last 4 years. It is the same content, has the same tags, same keywords, same everything, and they plug it over and over and over again. Now, I'm not going to mention the company's name. They're an ex-client of ours. They knew better than we did, but they're not going anywhere. In 4 years, they have gone nowhere, and that's why. Because you can only beat your head against the wall so many times and think that you're going to get anywhere. And once a month, they publish an article, and I call it the Pete and repeat. All right, so let's recap. Before we recap, we're going to talk about social. What's the value of social? Next to nothing. But we're going to go in and make sure that we have our OG open graph imagery is all there, right, for Facebook and Twitter. If you don't get me wrong, if you are a B2C company, business to customer, Facebook has value to an extent. If you're a B2B client, and we or you're in a business where you're a B2B business, Facebook has little or no value, but we're still going to satisfy the needs for the search engines. Sure, you'll come up on Facebook search or whatever, and we're going to put it all there. Twitter to us has zero value. People talk at each other. Nobody talks to each other. Nobody buys anything from Twitter, and we can make a whole separate tutorial about wasting your money on Twitter advertising, because you have 5 zeros behind the decimal before you get to a real number on your ROI. All right? Go through the motions, write your content, make sure your Facebook description, Facebook title, your Twitter title, Twitter description, we're using the same image. Notice it says here that we should use a 1024 by 512 image. I got news for you. Our featured image is 1920 by 1080. We care so little about Twitter that we are giving them the same image. And they can figure out how to make it work, because we don't care about them. Facebook, same thing. 1200 by 630. Okay. Figure out a way to resize it, Facebook, because we don't care. We are B2B. We are a B2B business. We don't necessarily care that anybody comes from Facebook to our website. We do share to the social networks, but it is what it is. We do direct engagement. We use Instagram. We use all of them. Let's talk about publishing content and how people find your content and how people read your content, and we're going to put it to bed right now, because I'm going to call myself a liar for just a moment. We publish everywhere. We publish on every platform. We are not biased on how people read our content, and we make sure that it is everywhere. Not from a spam standpoint. We aren't publishing it over and over and over and over again, and every 15 minutes you're on LinkedIn or Facebook and you see the same thing popping up over and over and over again. The marketing SaaS companies encourage you to do that, the HubSpots, etc. And we use HubSpot. You can see HubSpot right here. We use HubSpot. We're a HubSpot customer, but we are not scheduling our content to be published over and over again every 15 minutes on every social network, because it's spam. It's garbage. Make your content worth it. Make it count. And go in and create personal messages. Make it real. People want engagement. Engage with them. Create feeling. If you create feeling, if you create passion, people will engage. So it's participation. How do you get people to participate? Do you tell them they all suck? If you tell everybody they all suck, they're not going to want to participate in anything you do. If you give them ways to create a solution, to answer a problem, you're helping them, you'll be successful. Now, that leads into a very key piece of writing content. And I can't say this enough. If you are talking to people as if they're a prospect to buy your product in informational, so informational content versus transactional. If you are writing transactional content and think that it is going to rank and provide any value, that is what your website is for, and you will fail. I promise. Writing content, informational content, is part of the consideration phase, the awareness phase, right? It is not part of the decision phase of marketing. You're informing them of your knowledge within a certain area. You're building trust. You're building value. If you create a blog post or an article, and 5 or 10 times within that article it says, hey, buy my stuff, buy my shit, whatever, guess what? You will fail. And nobody even wants to link to your content, I promise you. Because it's all about you. It's all about the sales process. Writing your articles is to educate people and help them make a better informed decision, period. You use your website as transactional content. If somebody wants to buy your stuff, give them a reason. Reference the articles so that they can educate themselves throughout your website to make a better informed decision at the end. You're building trust. Does that make sense? I hope so, because that's what works. Let's do a quick recap and then I'm going to sign off because I know it's been a while. I appreciate your time. If you watch this video, you should be dedicated to this point. Go kick some content ass when you're done watching this video. Go write the best piece of content you've ever written. Go reach out to people and say this is the best shit on the internet and you should link to it and I'd appreciate it. And get your shit on page one. Get your content on page one organically. The only person keeping you from that is you. Now let's recap. We talked about using a tool, Ahrefs. Go buy their stuff, don't buy their stuff, makes no difference to us. Okay? Use Moz, use whoever. Use something. If you are blind writing content, you are already set up to fail. I don't even know how much the starter packages. We use the agency package for Ahrefs because we have a lot of clients. Their starter package might be $200 a month or $100 a month or whatever it is. I don't know what Moz is or SEMrush or any of them. Use something. If you're writing blind content, I promise you will fail. You will never make it in content writing. Let me say that again. It is that important. If you are not using tools that allow you a competitive advantage to write content in a manner that should rank by using examples through those tools to give yourself a competitive edge, you are already failing in comparison to your competition. Why? They're using them. Can't afford them? Okay. I don't think you can afford not to. We're going to figure out our keyword explorer. Every tool has the same thing. We're going to figure out what we're going to write about, a base subject. Here's what we're going to write about. We're going to figure out how tough it is to rank for that, or how many backlinks, how are we going to write our article? We're going to do that by reading the other articles that are written that do rank, that are relevant to what we're planning on writing about. Then we're going to gain perspective, and the way we do our perspective is based on writing the right content for what you want to be found for, similar articles. As you can see, I literally have each one of these. No, I don't want notifications. Lion Zeal, Empire Flippers, Niche Site. Oh, there's Lings. We don't want Lings. Here's Goach. Yep, Nathan Goach. I've read all of these articles. I formulated a plan to write an article based on what ranked. And then I just wrote it better. We're going to get rid of Ling's cars. So I've read each one of these articles. I've formulated a plan of attack. I've then looked at what keywords, right? Going back to our keywords within our Google Sheets. I've looked at the keywords that are relevant. I narrowed that list of keywords down. I extracted or deleted everything that wasn't relevant. Then I've looked at, going back to here, I've looked at the keywords that other people are ranking for. So where's Goach? There he is, 231. I looked at the keywords that they're ranking for. I've determined a perspective of how I'm going to write this article based on how people are ranking and the perspective of what the message is for trying to achieve a result. Because in the end, we are writing content to solve a problem. Always. We are always writing content to solve a problem. We are always writing content with more than 750 words. I'll say that again. Write articles longer than 750 words. Most of our content, this is a shorter article for us. Most of our content is 4,000 words, 6,000, 7,000 words, because we're creating a solution. We don't want them to leave once they're there to go to our competitor's website and get a better solution. Because as they're going through the phase of creating a better solution, they also reach our competitors' transactional content, which is giving our competitors the opportunity to sell our prospective clients. Do it right. We've established all the keywords. Going back here, we've looked at all the keywords, relevant keywords. We've defined what we're going to write about. The very next thing that we did is we went over into Google Docs. We created, very first, before we ever created content, we created our titles, H1 through H6 tags 4 titles. That's the very next thing we did. And then we wrote our content in between our titles. Did you catch that? We wrote our content in between our titles. And then we brought it over to Hemingway app, right? We created our links here, brought it over to Hemingway app. We edited our content so it's more readable, can be read better. 8th grade versus 5th grade, great. 1,401 words, we'll do better next time. We imported everything. We filled out our meta descriptions, our SEO site titles. We gave it a category which is defined. We gave it the tags that are necessary, that make sense. Now, keep in mind that our best ranking content at Ginger Hippo has no more than 6 tags. We have content that have 15 or 20. It does not rank as good as the content that we have that has 6 or less tags. We've created a feature image. We're going to go into our visual builder. One last walkthrough. In a second. All right, there's our content. We created a table of contents. It allows us to click and smooth scroll into an area. We've taken that article, we've created imagery. We've also created links to relevant data, authoritative data that's already out there, and we've created a link to all of the rest of the front page articles as references. What's the only thing that's left to do at this point? We've gone from SEO at the beginning, writing our content, and then the very last thing we talked about is SEO at the end. And SEO at the end, again, is outreach. Going back here, we're going to reach out after we publish this article. Let's just go ahead and publish the article. It's ready to be published. There it is, live publishing. And in a second, it'll publish. We're not going to wait. The very last thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our backlinks, right? We exported all of our backlinks. We're going to go after these people. We're going to create a list. We're going to find the emails. We're going to figure out how to put our content on those websites from a backlink standpoint. We're going to ask them for a do follow backlink, and we are going to be specific. We are going to be very specific when we do our outreach. We are looking for a do follow backlink. And then we're going to watch our content rank. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to go right back here. All right, this is live. I'm going to exit our visual builder because it's live content now. And the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to publish it to every social network, right? And when I say publish to all of them, I publish to all of them. I publish everywhere. Reddit, Pinterest, Buffer, all of it, don't care. We're publishing to it. We're going to give everybody the opportunity to read our content. And chances are we're going to republish our content on social media once every 30 days. Sometimes once every 3 weeks. Just because people don't see it. But we're not going to publish it any more than that. People are either going to want to read our content or they're not. All right, so that's everything. I'll give you a chance to look at my home screen. Hopefully you enjoyed our tutorial, my tutorial about building content. If you wouldn't mind, leave a comment, right? If I sucked, if you think I'm off, if you think that Rain Man fell off his rocking chair, by all means, tell me that, Rain Man, you fell off your rocking chair. You're smoking something bad, right? But I promise you, I do this every day. I do this for us. As the owner of Ginger Hippo, I do this for us, our content, and I do it for our clients. And we do this every day. And we do it extremely well. Are we the best? Well, one of. But we do this every day. All you have to do is your share as a single writer, content writer, either for your company. I mean, if you are writing shitty content right now, and you start writing really good content that is ranking, your company will love you. If you're writing it for yourself, and you're writing really great content, but you're not doing the outreach because, oh, I'm scared. Well, guess what? If you're scared of doing outreach, stop writing content because you're wasting your time. If you're going to write content, you need to be committed to do the outreach to get the backlinks from the outside sources to your content. If not, you are either one, scared, or two, lazy. Period. And if you're scared, quit. Because scared people never win. How dumb would it sound if I said, hey, I wanted to go be a Navy SEAL, but I'm afraid of water. I'm afraid to swim. I can't swim. I want to go be a politician, but I'm afraid of talking to people. I want to go be a school teacher, but I don't want to prepare a lesson plan. Do the work. Write the content, do the outreach. Write the content right, do the outreach. When all else fails, do the outreach. Check back for more tutorials. I appreciate you watching this one.